When I sat down today to put together my plans of what I was going to speak about tonight, of course, it's Thanksgiving, which to me brought to the surface that I'm going to talk about the whole concept of gratitude and how we can create it and how we can express it. But I realized that if we're going to talk about thanks, about giving gratitude, we need to have two feelings that make that ability stronger. And the intention of the meditation that I just guided you through was to create two feelings: the feeling of peace and the feeling of empowerment. When we give thanks, when we feel gratitude, it requires a state of mind that allows us to see the positive elements in our life. And there's so much that goes on in our life, and so many distractions and so many emotions and so many feelings that I talk to people and they say, well, I have nothing to be thankful for. Everything sucks. Everything in my life sucks. I have nothing to be thankful for. They're right. In that moment, that is how they feel. That's what they're seeing. That's what they're perceiving. And they, if I ask them to list, well, tell me what sucks. Well, they got a damn good list of things that they have to deal with or things that they've been putting up with. And we all do that. I could sit back and I could tell you all the things that I am unhappy with in my life at the moment, but I won't, because I prefer to manifest things that I am happy with. Life is a balance, and there's always this blend. The universe contains everything. And if you put everything all together, you put all the colors together, you get white. You put everything together, all the energies, and what do you get? Neutral. All the positives and all the negatives and all the ins and all the outs, and put them all together, and you've got this big bubble of neutral. And we're spots within that big bubble of neutral. So why do we feel? We feel because we choose to focus on certain things. We feel happy because we're focusing on something that makes us happy. We feel sad because we're focusing on something that makes us sad. And there is no right or wrong in that. It is what it is. It's normal to be sad in certain circumstances. It's normal to be happy in certain circumstances. We guide ourselves through that experience. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't occur that affect us. Of course they do. And of course we respond and we react. But that's in the moment. During our meditation, I asked you to dismiss before and to dismiss after. And most of our thoughts and feelings in any given moment are about before, or they're about next. We're planning ahead, we're thinking ahead, or we're analyzing what happened, or we're feeling anger about something, or feeling sad, and we rebuild an experience in our mind and we tell ourselves a story over and over. Remember when that happened, that girl was so mean. I remember every word she said to me, and then we replay it in our mind and we create the feelings that we felt then. And we keep imprinting. As we review stories in our head, not only are we trying to solve them, but we are imprinting them as well. And those imprints can serve a purpose. The example I was just giving, the woman who was, had experienced meanness. Well, by her imprinting, her unwillingness to accept that meanness may be the tool that she uses to give her strength in the next occurrence. Maybe she handles the next situation differently because of how she imprinted the previous experience. Again, there's no good or bad, it's just simply understanding how these things work. So maybe because she focused so much on that girl was mean to me, I'm never going to let her do that again. Well, then the next time it happens, she'll respond differently. So we use these stories, these thoughts within ourselves as tools to shape our future behavior. Well, one of the tools that I tend to use is the tool of gratitude. It can be difficult, it can be easy, but if in the moment I just start to think about what am I thankful for, I'm thankful for Zoom, I'm thankful for the ability to speak, I'm thankful for everyone that's here to listen to me tonight. I'm thankful for my family, I'm thankful for the food I've had, I'm thankful I've got a fan blowing nice air across my room. I could go on and on. As we observe and view, there are things that we like and we can express thanks for them. We can take it further outside my realm, into my village. I can be thankful for the friends that I've met and the clubs that I've joined. I can take it out to, I'm thankful I'm Canadian. I'm thankful I'm on Earth at this day and time, in this exciting moment in our history of mankind, where things are shifting and things are changing, and it's chaotic and it's disturbing and it's exhilarating and it's light. All the stuff that's going on now is the evolution of light in this world. And that's why the darkness stands out so much, is because the light is breaking through. And every person that becomes aware of that brings more light into this world. That is what I'm thankful for. One by one, humanity is awakening. And in this moment, where so much is going on, it's challenging people. It's making them think about, what are my values? What matters? And if most all that matters is feeling good about yourself and knowing that those you love and care for are taken care of, are healthy, or safe, or happy, right? Our immediate bubble is what matters to us most, and that's okay. It's not selfish to think about yourself, because if you are caring for yourself, that makes you able to care for others. There's the old story about the airplane and the masks all fall down, and they say, put your own first. Before you try and help your child, make sure you've got your mask. Because if you pass out trying to put on your kid's mask, you both die, right? Take care of yourself first. I always tell that to healers. Healers must heal themselves first. When someone works in the healing field, they are faced with more challenges. They take on more stuff, because everyone they meet is someone that is asking for healing. Therefore, they're carrying something they want to eliminate. And the healer meets up with that and has to make sure that they're not taking it all on for themselves, right? The healer must heal themselves first and then share it with others. When I was young, I was bullied at school. There was this kid, and every time he'd see me, he'd hit me. And the other kids thought this was funny, so sometimes they'd wait around in a group for me to come along, and then they'd pick on me. And when I started to cry, they'd laugh at me. So I learned that it was better to avoid that group, to go home a different way. So I knew that if I went out the back entrance of the school, the most direct route to my home, they'd be there waiting for me. So I would go around and walk 3 blocks extra to go the long way around and avoid them. And then I learned, well, I can save a couple of blocks if I just simply climb fences and cut through backyards. So I would go home through a backyard, climb the fence, through the next backyard, look both ways, run across the street into that backyard, and I would navigate my way home through backyards so the bullies couldn't find me. Well, one day the bully caught me in a bad mood and he pushed me and I hit him back in the face and I dropped him. I was about 8 years old and I jumped on top of him and he rolled over on his stomach and I took his face and I rubbed his face in the mud on the ground and all the kids stood around and cheered. That guy never picked on me again, neither did any of the other kids. It was that moment where I said, hey, you know what? I'm not putting up with that anymore. And they knew it. So it stopped. Now I look back at that time and I think, you know, what a horrible experience. I could carry trauma for the rest of my life about how I was beat up and picked on and gangs and mean kids and all that. But I look back at it with gratitude. I look back at it with thanks. I thank that bully because what he did was he made me grow. He made me stand up for myself. He made me find my own inner power. And if I hadn't been stimulated like that, I might not have found that power. But he also made me empathic to others being bullied. If I see someone else being bullied, it immediately rankles me and I'll step in and, excuse me, that's out of place. That's out of line for whatever reason, whatever's going on. I have not participated with groups that bully people because no, it doesn't feel right. So thank you to that bully because he taught me to be empathic and he taught me to find my power. What beautiful lessons that he provided for me. That is how we reframe our experiences into gratitude, finding the silver lining in each cloud. Right? There are moments in our lives that we don't like, things that happened, but we can often look at each of those things and realize, well, that was an important step in my growth. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In 2012, I got fired from my job and that sucked. All right, I had moved to Richmond Hill. I got a job with a software company and I was living in downtown Toronto at the time and the commute was an hour and a half through bumper to bumper traffic in the morning. And I thought, I can't deal with this. So I moved. I got an apartment in Richmond Hill that was 10 minutes from the office and I bought a new car because I needed to be able to drive to customers and so on. I completely redirected my life to take on this job. And 8 months later, they let me go. They made changes. They were bought by another company. They restructured and thank you very much. You've only been here less than a year. We got to let you go. I was devastated at that time because my entire life was built around, I'm going to work at this job and I'm going to get financially stable and all these things were going to happen. And all of a sudden the carpet was completely taken out from beneath me. And I went through a 6-month period of job hunting and found nothing because my company was restructuring and changing. So was the entire industry. And I couldn't find work. So because of that, I had to give up on Toronto. I was at this moment of desperation. I'm out of work. My bank account's empty. My unemployment insurance has run out. What am I going to do? Well, at that moment in time, my father was about to have heart surgery and my mother was about to have a hip replacement, both within a few weeks of each other. And they said, you know, we're both going to be incapacitated. Why don't you come and stay with us? We got an extra room in the basement. You can live there and it helps you and it helps us. And that's what I did. I moved up to Midland and I settled in and I helped my parents through that period of time and stayed there for a few more years until I think 2017, when I moved to Port McNichol and my parents got an apartment. They sold their house and got an apartment. While the losing of that job was a horrible thing in my life, it changed everything. I could be very angry that that was enforced on me. You know, my career plans and everything else, it was just shattered. But I see the blessing. Because I was in that hole, I had to make a dramatic change in my life. That dramatic change involved moving to Midland, where I got to spend the next 7 years close to my father, who is now gone. I got that extra treasure of that closeness with Dad, and I still have the extra treasure of my closeness to Mom. I've been with my mother this weekend for Thanksgiving dinners and such. If I had got a job in Toronto, I would have been coming up to visit 4 times a year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, you know, and May 24th weekend. Canada Day, maybe, maybe not, because there's fun stuff in Toronto in Canada Day. So instead of seeing my parents 4 times a year for the past 10 years, I saw them every day. I became friends. I became close to them. I understood who they were as people. All those gifts came to me because my life fell apart. Thank you. Thank you for firing me. Reframing, when we look at our lives and the things that have come out, where we are and what we've experienced has brought us to this. So things that change your life and change the direction, well, if you like the direction, it was a good thing. And if you don't like the direction, thank you for the opportunities to make more changes. It's all within our power. Our mind affects our thoughts. Our mind manages our thoughts. That's what we do. We sit and we think. And as we do, there are neurons that are firing in the brain. They're electric impulses. That's how the brain operates, and that's how thoughts are processed. That's how memories are activated. And one of the things that is common for all human beings is that neuron pathways can become imprinted. If I say the word fish, how many people think and chips? Fish and chips. Words are paired together, right? Dogs and cats, hamburgers and hot dogs, etc. We form pairings or neural pathways, and they are imprinted. And every time that they are reused, the path becomes deeper. Think about, you know, a lawn, and people are cutting across the lawn, and as they walk the same path across the lawn, it wears away the grass, and now you can see the path. That's what happens in our brain. There's neural pathways, and a lot of them are our method of training ourselves of how to respond to the world. We look at outcomes, we see truth and consequences, we watch how things happen, and we imprint, oh, if I touch something hot, I'll get burned. So we teach ourselves, okay, well, I won't touch something hot, or I'm going to put on an oven mitt first. Right? That neural pathway is imprinted for our own safety and awareness. So we learned. In everything that we do, everything we think, learning hasn't been involved because we've learned how to process. We can all look at the same thing and all have a different experience. We can look at a bunch of grapes, and every one of us is going to think of that bunch of grapes differently. Some of us like grapes, some of us don't like grapes. Some of us think of making wine. Some of us think Man, those are expensive these days. I can't afford grapes. We'll all have a different experience looking at the same grapes. That's because our neural pathways are different. What we tend to think about is different. Now, because my point, one of my points of this presentation tonight is empowerment, I'm going to let you know that you can alter, you can change your neural pathways. If there's pathways that are in your way, if there's repetitive habits, you know, every time I get offered a gift, I feel guilty. Every time someone gives me something, I feel guilty about it, and I feel like I have to give it away to someone else. That's a neural pathway that can be trained. You can untrain that. You can change that by altering, by repeating. And there's a little slogan I came up with. Neural is your brain. Neurally integrated is training your brain. And what do you want to train your brain? You want to train yourself to be more conscious, to expand your consciousness. Neurally integrated consciousness expansion. Neurally integrated consciousness expansion. NICE. Have a nice day. NICE. Neurally integrated consciousness expansion. This is something we can do. It's something we can train ourselves. It's something we can put effort into that uplifts our vibration. It makes us smarter. It makes us faster because we're more aware of how our thoughts work, and we're more aware of how we can manage those. So I'm going to make a suggestion. Make a gratitude list. Tonight, when we're finished, sit down, make a list. List 3 things that you're thankful for. And if you do that every day, if you get into their habit, you are creating neural pathways of gratitude. And as we're more thankful, more things come in. You can create it.